Thank you for inviting me to come and be part of this. It's going to be quite fun. It's nice to come to my alma mater and see all the changes they made in 10 years, because the Nielsen used to look like something really cool, and now it's just looking fancy. I don't know how you guys afford to spend money here, quite frankly. So yeah, I'm an entrepreneur, but one thing you need to know about entrepreneurs is they can come from all walks of life. I started off as a scientist. Science and anything non-science doesn't really gel together unless you have to make it happen. So I'll tell you a little bit about me, about my career, where I went and what I did, and why I went down the road I did, and where it's led me. And it's led me into some interesting thinking. And I think what Melvi, you hit the button on the head there. Entrepreneurship doesn't just happen. You know, you guys look at TikTok videos, you look at YouTube videos. It's so easy to become a property investor. Open up a trust, do this, do that, do the next thing, and you're a multi-trillionaire because you had all the money in the start, to start with. That's not what happens. There's a couple of circles happening in the background which you need to be aware of. So I think my first point that I want to make is be cautious. Get involved with something. If you want to do it yourself, it's a great idea. Get a team around you and conceptualize a bigger picture. I graduated a B.Tech degree from Technikon in 2008. I started working in the food industry. I was a food technologist at a bakery. I'm sure you guys have eaten Mediterranean delicacies, dips, hummus, all that type of stuff. I was the technical manager for the group for about 3 years, up until about 2011, I think, if I'm correct. And in 2012, I decided to come to University of Stellenbosch. I rocked up with my rifle, went to the animal science department and said, let me in the department because I have a Technikon degree, let me into Stellenbosch. So it's quite a click here. And they did that. So I got into academia, I went into meat processing, I shot lots of animals. It was so fantastic. I was what you call the antithesis of vegan. And that led me to explore a whole lot of academic things. And luckily I did it after I worked, because when you work you earn money. When you save money and you come to varsity, you've got beer money, and it's amazing. So post that process, I got to the end of my beer money and I graduated with my master's cum laude, and I was like, what the hell am I going to do now? And I thought, am I going to go back into the food industry and work at a factory again? And I thought, well, that could be cool, but I don't want to work for someone. So what do I know? What are my skills? And I think a lot of entrepreneurs think like that. You say, what am I good at? And you take that, what you're good at, and make something of it. But you very quickly realize you probably have to do some sort of budget, and it's going to cost you at least, what's it now? About $8,000 a month for rent. And it's going to cost you another $3,000 a month for food. And very quickly you're sitting at this 20,000 Rand mark that you need in your bank account, and you're an entrepreneur that can try and do something, but you've got no money to eat. Yeah, that's when it smacks you in the face. And I think the big thing we need to know is, I don't care how passionate you are, you have to be passionate. If you're going to do some entrepreneurial type thing, you're going to have to be passionate. You're going to have to be good at what you do. But without thinking about your personal budget and how you're going to get there, it's going to be a blimmin' difficult ride. So in my consultancy space, I was very fortunate. It was a luck thing. I got a phone call when I handed in my thesis, and someone said to me, Mathew, I'm going to be a technologist at Woolworths. I'm selling my consultancy. Would you like it? Yes, I would love it. Thank you, because I want to work for myself. And I've grown it from a contact list that I received at that point to what we do today. I had 13 employees. I've downscaled some of my employees. I've got some other fancy employees. We've helped 150 food companies do the compliance thing. We're mainly in the compliance space. How many of you eat polony? Only 2 of you. Why does no one else eat polony here? You can eat polony, just don't eat lots of it because it is processed meat. I don't think processed meat's a good idea. But I've been very involved with meat manufacturers. You know Brito's Meat? There's a Brito's Meat on Bird Street, I believe. Go to Brito's, they're great. They pay their bills and they need more money to pay more bills. So we were involved with designing their factory and making sure that they don't kill people. A lot of my clients that I work with in the food space, the classic example would be, I make the most amazing Portuguese sauce. I love sauce. So I make a sauce, and 3 weeks after making my sauce and putting it in a bottle, it explodes. But everyone wants to buy my sauce, and this one likes my sauce. So then they throw a teaspoon of sodium benzoate in there. Great, I've preserved it. A few weeks down the line, a couple of butcheries are buying the sauce, and they get hold of me and say, Matthew, I've got approached by a retailer. Can you please help me? They need to have this audit certificate. We'll quickly do it. I say to him, okay, but have you got your certificate of acceptability from the city of Cape Town or from the environmental health practitioner? He says, what's that? I say, have you approved your label according to the regulations? He's like, the regulations for labels on a food product? I said, have you got enough preservative in there, or have you got the right amount of preservative in there according to the regulation? He's like, what? There's a regulation for preservatives? And when we end up breaking down this entire product, we realize this oak's like illegally selling his product, and the butcheries are just buying it and stocking it. And I'm like, you're not going to be selling your product unless it's legally manufactured. So compliance, I found a niche in compliance, because 10 to 1, people in the food industry who want to start businesses in the food industry do it because they're passionate, because they make the best brownie, they make the best sauce, they're the best chef in the world. But to take it that next level, to make money out of it, they need to do the compliance aspect. They need to do a whole lot of these other things to make sure they can go where they need to go. The next challenge that I've found with the 90% of these guys is on the scalability front. They're like, I need money to do this. Someone has to give me money to do this. How do we organically grow and get money to do this? It's all about having money to make more money. And that is a massive challenge. When I started my company, and I had like a couple of customers and whatnot, I was like, I need a car to get to my clients. Bank, can you please loan me some money? I can guarantee I can pay it back. They're like, in what world can you guarantee it? Have you got a business? I'm like, yeah, I registered a business 6 months ago. Do you have 3 years audited financial statements? No. Well, sorry, we're not giving you the money to get a car. I'm like, how the hell am I going to get money for my business by going to visit my clients without a car? Well, I don't know. Go find it somewhere else. So these are things that I want you guys to realize when you're getting into entrepreneurship. It's not a matter of I make the best chocolate brownie. That's one aspect of it. It's the rest of the planning aspects. And I think the best solution to get around that is surrounding yourselves with people that can assist you. Preferably people you can trust that are not going to charge you an arm and a leg. Some accounting firms, you say, please register my business, and it's going to cost you an absolute fortune, where you could actually speak to 1 or 2 people that will spend an hour or 2 with you and get you on your way. So the network you surround yourself with to enable you to go down that route to set up everything properly, I think is one of the best pieces of advice I can do. And I suppose that's why I'm here today, because networking has led me to Melvi and my contact list, and I think we're going a long road now. We're going down a long road at the moment. Yeah, from an entrepreneurial perspective, I think it's very important that you guys just think about whatever you're wanting to put forward and say, is there a legal aspect that I need to take into account? Have I thought about the financial aspect? Have I thought about financing aspect? Because sometimes winging it is not necessarily the best option. And then experience plays a long role. So if you guys are thinking about going down a route and having your chocolate brownie business, it might be a good idea to have a little foundation in business administration of some sort. It might be a good idea for you to have some sort of training in supply chain or the food industry. So I think if you are looking at opportunities to have your own entrepreneurial businesses, gain the skills you need to deliver it. I think of a web developer. Web developers cannot do web development unless they know web development. Get the skill down to a T and supplement those skills with a couple of other things, broad brushstrokes. Understand accountancy. I don't know how many of you did accounting at school. My mother said to me, you will do accounting at school. I'm like, Mom, I don't want to do accounting at school. It's a shitty subject. It is. It's not fun. the best subject that I learned for the skills that I do today is accountancy, because I can understand an income statement and a balance sheet, and I can see where my money goes. So sometimes those type of things are necessary evils, but I do think they add value to you as you go down your entrepreneurial spirit. You don't all have to be the biggest marketer. There's marketing firms for that. There are creative people. It's one of the biggest struggles I have in my business at the moment. I say to anyone who I employ, I say, how creative are you? Can you use Canva? Are you able to create nice posters and make things look pretty? Because I can't. So there's no reason why you don't outsource that to maybe more creative friends. If that is your forte and that's the business you're going to do, then that's great. And give me your contact details, because I'm always looking for cheap intern marketers. But yeah, I think be all-rounded. Think about all the skills you need to deliver whatever you want to deliver. Keep that passion going, but make sure you have all the other aspects available to you. So that's the words I had to say. I don't know if anyone has any questions or anyone wants to pose anything.
I just wanted to ask, so you said you stopped working at the, as a scientist in 2011, and you studied further. It's a two-parter. How long did it take you, this process, to find your business to where it is today? And did you have a mentor or somebody that was by your side during that process?
So I think I got really irritated when I was working for someone else. And I was like, at BM Foods, it was a family-run business, and I respect the guys. I was there the other day again saying how's it to everyone, and we get on well. But I was like, I'm never going to be the director of this company. I'm never going to own this company. And so I guess I had ambition, somewhere along the line. And Melvie, you would know about this. Quality and production are opposites in a food manufacturing facility. That's very much unique to the industry. But as a technical and quality manager, I was always in fights, because production, all they want to do is I want to put out production. But the minute you're putting out production, guess what you're not doing? You're not cleaning. You're not cooking properly. And we had issues. We did a listeria recall on I think they called it tricolor, so it had layers of it, or it was a salmon cream cheese or something. And I mean, it cost the business probably 2 million rand at the time, which is, you don't want to take a 2 million rand knock just because there was listeria. Why was there listeria? Because production didn't listen to me. So I was very agitated about that, and I suppose that's what I made that mental decision, like, I'm going to do my own thing. And then I had the opportunity to go to varsity, and I think if you can push yourselves to go and get an academic degree, it does bode well for you in the future. Yes, Elon Musk had a degree, I think, or he might have dropped out, but he's a special character. Elon Musk's special. Bill Gates is special, but not everyone is that special. And I think if you are that special, nurture those needs and do what you need to do. But going the academic route gives you a foundation which is necessary. Now, I was fortunate enough that my father was involved in his own business. I say his own business, he was a shareholder of a bigger business. And my mom she was an accountant. She was not a CA, but she worked in financial management. So as a child growing up, you were exposed to it. So did I have mentors? Yes. I mean, budgeting was there. Talking around the dinner table around finances was there. Being cautious I was exposed to it. I did come across a guy who was involved with Business School Netherlands, who was running one of the MBA programs, and he helped me out a little bit. It all comes down to cash flow. So I had this business and I had the skills, and I was able to go and do the consultations and send the invoices out. And then I'm like, where's the money, guys? Okay, I better phone these oaks to pay me, otherwise I can't pay myself a salary. And you very quickly realize, like, I need to pay my suppliers. Now, I'm fortunate in the consulting space. I don't have debt. Like, I don't have to buy stuff. The first thing I bought was a property for an office space of mine. So I have to pay salaries. I think about 80% or 75% of my expense is just my staff who are billing every month. So my cash cycles work quite nicely. And the minute you want to make something, Where's the raw material? You better get a 60-day account with your suppliers and then get a 30-day account with the rest, just so you can balance your cash flow. And I think having the wisdom to ask the right questions and then surround yourself with a mentor or so who has maybe been familiar with that is a very good strategy to just make sure it is. And then my internal rule to myself was, when I bought, I literally bought a contact list, and I said to my mother, "Mom, can you loan me 25,000 rand?" "Yes, I will, son. I love you." "Thanks very much." I took that, I paid 25,000 rand for a contact list, and I've created it into a company which we can probably sell for about 2.5 million rand today. I wanted to build everything internally. I'm not going to the bank or to my mate or someone to say, "Can I please borrow 1 million rand?" Because if I'm going to borrow money like that, I'm owing it to someone. Rather grow organically, grow slower, take the time out to get there. In 10 years' time, you can still be there. But if you've learned how to do the little things right, you end up in a position where you are aware of what's going on. I've recently hired a bookkeeper, and they're taking over my billing. But I mean, until the first 7 years, I was the accountant. I was the guy doing the invoices. I was the one that knew how much we invoiced, and I also knew who owed me money. So you got to have like a size 10 shoe to kick people with, because when you give a service or you sell something, they better put money in your account. If you can think of ways for subscription services, amazing money, because it comes in every month. If you can think of ways of being able to pay cash up front, a retail business, Pick and Pay is maybe not a good one to talk about. ShopRite. You go to ShopRite, you swipe your card, they have your money, and about 90 days later they give out their money. They make their money by keeping the money or your money in the bank. And if you can figure out ways that you can hold the money for a bit and pay back when you need to pay back, but you're getting cash in immediately, that's a good strategy. But I think, going into too much debt, I don't know how many of you guys look at all these TikTok and YouTube videos, but every single one of them that rocks up on my sort of feed, I look at it, I'm like, where the hell did they get the money to buy the first property, to do this, to do that? I'm like, no, that's, I don't know, start a YouTube channel to get the money or something, I don't know.
Sorry, I know this is a bit of an abstract question, but out of interest, have you ever thought about what the backup would have been if your mom hadn't said, "I love you, son, here's 25,000 rand"?
I had 25,000 rand. I didn't want to use my own because I also wanted to be able to pay for food that next month. So exactly, I think that's it. If I didn't have the opportunity, and if it wasn't, if someone said to me, "Well, here's a 500,000 rand to do this," I can't afford 500,000 rand. I would go to the bank. I would ask the bank. They probably wouldn't do anything about it. So then you probably need to go get a job and save up, knowing that would be the future. So I do think from an entrepreneurial perspective, if you're going down this road, it's going to start as your side hustle. You need to get a job. So getting some sort of academic qualification, most likely in the financial world, would give you a good stead in terms of understanding the mechanisms, and then get a job in that world, because that world pays money. And the more I think about it, I've got one child and 2 more coming, so we're gonna have 3 children, and I'm gonna have no sleep. And it looked like all of you look after a party last night. What I've thought about is that my children need to go and do some sort of professional career. Professional career pays more money. Investment bankers and CAs and doctors and lawyers get paid pretty well. Lawyers not so much initially, but they do well, they grow. The food scientist, Melvie and I were talking last week about it. The food scientist, currently, they're getting the same amount of money that I got in my first job in 2009. We're sitting 15 years later, same amount of money, 15 grand. I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to be a food science again. I love food science. I find it fascinating. But to make money out of the food science world as a food scientist, jeepers, I don't know. I don't know if I can back that. So going the professional realm to build up, and then if you are entrepreneurial, to do it as your side hustle, and then you're going to make a point, sort of a decision at that point. You're going to say, well, I can really do well in my side hustle, or actually the side hustle must just stay my side hustle. My side hustle right now is brewing beer. I love beer. I make lots of beer. I've probably accumulated about 50,000 rands worth of equipment at my house. I've got 13 kegs at home that I put into my keezer, like on tap all the time. Do you think I'm going to make money out of selling beer? Not really. Not unless you do a big side hustle. I've got a couple of friends. I don't know if you guys have been to Shackleton's in Pardon Island. A nice brewery. Steve's a great guy. Yes, it's the hustle. The loanies that he make to build the brewery. It's been a massive mission, and I love beer making. I get creative with my beer making. It's great, but I don't know if I want to be hustling beer. I spoke to him the other day. I'm from Durbanville, Palm Grove Spa. I always used to see Shackleton's there, and I said to Steve the other day, "Where's your beer? Why is it not at the Palm Grove Spa?" He says, "Well, we used to sell to Woodstock Liquors, who used to stock Spa at Palm Grove, but Spa never paid Woodstock Liquors. So Woodstock said, we're not supplying you beer anymore." So Steve's like, "No, man, come on. I'll supply Palm Grove Spa myself." So he supplied them for 3 months and never got paid. So he's now losing 6 months worth of income because he just hasn't been paid by the retailer. And I'm like, "But Steve, where's your beer?" He has to hustle with every single Spa tops to make sure you can sell. Be careful with what your venture is and understand cash flow and cash cycles, because you're not going to pay yourself a salary and you're not going to become wealthy if you're relying on selling things like that to individual retailers that just don't respect you. Okay, so yeah, I think that's hopefully that answers some of your questions and gives you some insight.